The evening began like any other Saturday, with laughter and the clinking of beer bottles. Mark and I had been friends since college, and despite the years layering over our shared history, our conversations always found their way back to the reckless escapades of our youth. This night, however, nostalgia took a back seat to a more modern form of mischief. "So, you're really telling me you've never tried online dating?" 5. Eyebrows raised in mock disbelief as he lounged on my living room couch. "Not really my scene," I shrugged, grabbing another beer from the fridge. "Seems like a lot of hassle." "Come on, it's just a bit of fun. Let's set up a fake profile and see what happens. Who knows, you might even get a good laugh out of it." I hesitated, the bottle halfway to my lips. It was just harmless fun, right? A few clicks, a couple of laughs, and that would be it. "All right, let's do it," I said, settling in beside him with my laptop. Creating the profile was absurdly simple. We concocted a character, an adventurous photographer named Alex, who traveled the world and had an appetite for gourmet cuisine and fine wine. Within minutes, Alex was alive on the screen, his inbox already buzzing with notifications. As we scrolled through the profiles of potential matches, a familiar face stopped me cold. There she was, Lisa, my wife of 5 years, staring back at me from the laptop screen. Her profile name was a pseudonym, but there was no mistaking her vibrant smile and the mole just below her left eye. "Isn't that?" Mark trailed off, his voice a mixture of confusion and concern. "Yeah. It's Lisa," I muttered, my throat tight. Anger, shock, and a trace of something I refused to acknowledge as hurt tangled within me. "We could just ignore this," Mark suggested tentatively, his hand hovering over the mouse. "No. Let's see how far this goes," I said, the words tasting like acid on my tongue. "Message her?" The exchange was brief. Alexa was charming, flirtatious. Lisa, or Lily as she called herself online, responded in kind. The betrayal stung with each message that popped up on the screen, her words to this stranger so different from the ones she shared with me. When she agreed to meet Alex for coffee the following day, something within me snapped. Mark watched, his expression somber. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to teach her a lesson," I said coldly, the screen blurring slightly before my eyes. "She wants to meet Alex. She'll meet him. And then we'll see." The plan formed quickly. I would confront her at the cafe, expose her deceit. It would be the perfect revenge for her betrayal. Little did I know, this meeting would only be the beginning of a long, dark road, one that would unravel secrets far beyond a simple online flirtation. As I set the wheels of my plan into motion, I was unaware of the deeper, more sinister truths that lay waiting to be uncovered, truths that would eventually lead to the destruction of more than just our marriage. The morning sun barely touched the cafe's vintage facade as I approached, my steps measured, each one echoing the pounding of my heart. I had arrived early, nerves fraying, as I positioned myself at a table with a clear view of the entrance. The cafe, usually a sanctuary of scents, fresh coffee and baked pastries, now felt like the stage for a reckoning. Pastries now felt like vibrated with a message from Mark, "You sure about this?" I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over a reply, then locked the device. Doubt had no place here, not anymore. Minutes ticked by, each one stretching longer than the last until finally, Lisa walked through the door. She scanned the room, her gaze expectant, searching. The sight of her, so familiar yet so distant, tightened something in my chest. She was dressed casually, her hair falling softly around her shoulders, the very image of the woman I thought I knew. She didn't see me at first. Taking a deep breath, I stood and called out, "Lisa." Her head snapped around, eyes wide with shock. "James? What are you doing here?" Confusion played across her face, a mask slipping to reveal a flicker of guilt. "I could ask you the same," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I took the few steps that separated us, closing the distance as her face paled. "Or should I call you Lily?" Lisa's eyes darted around the room, seeking an escape she couldn't find. "James, I can explain," she stammered, her voice a mix of desperation and fear. I'm listening, I said coldly, folding my arms as I leaned back against an empty chair. Around us, the cafe buzzed with the oblivious chatter of its patrons, a stark contrast to the tension between us. It's not what you think, she began, her hands wringing together. I created that profile because I thought you were drifting away from me. I needed to feel wanted again. And by others, not by your husband? The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. It was just talking, James. I never meant for it to go this far, she pleaded, her eyes welling up. You agreed to meet someone, Lisa. How is that just talking? I countered, the hurt breaking through the facade of anger. I don't know. I was confused. But nothing happened, James. I swear it. Her voice broke, a sob caught in her throat. I shook my head, the gesture one of disbelief and resignation. I trusted you, Lisa. And you betrayed me. Turning from her, I felt the finality of the moment settle around us. James, please. Her voice cracked, reaching for me, but I was already moving away. I think it's best if we talk about this with a lawyer present. I'll be contacting mine. You should do the same. My voice was devoid of warmth, businesslike. As I left the cafe, the cool air hit me, a stark reminder of the isolation that now awaited. Behind me, Lisa's cries faded, muffled by the closing door. What was meant to be a simple exposé of infidelity had morphed into the unraveling of our life together. As I walked away, the weight of what was to come loomed large, but so did a resolve to seek justice for the betrayal, no matter the cost. The game had changed, and with it, so had I. The days following the cafe confrontation were a blur of terse conversations and stony silences. Lisa had moved out to her sister's place, leaving me alone in the echo of our empty house. My thoughts, once confined to the lanes of routine and comfort, now roamed wild and dark paths. As I sat in the dim light of my study, my phone buzzed with a call from Mark. Hey, man, how are you holding up? His voice was laced with concern, a stark contrast to the chaos that had taken root within me. I've been better, I confessed, running a hand through my hair. But I need to see this through. I can't let it go, Mark. Not yet. I get that, but what's your plan? Mark asked, a note of caution threading his words. There's something off about the whole thing. Her reaction, the excuses. It doesn't add up. My voice hardened with each word. I'm going to find out everything. If she's hiding more, I want to know. Mark paused, the weight of my words hanging between us. Just be careful, James. Don't do anything too rash. I nodded, even though he couldn't see. I'll be careful. Thanks, man. The next morning, I hired a private investigator. The decision felt like crossing an invisible line, but hesitation was a luxury I could no longer afford. I needed answers, and I needed them yesterday. When I met the investigator, a no-nonsense woman named Sarah, her handshake was firm, her eyes sharp. Mr. Thompson, I understand you're looking for discreet surveillance on your wife. What exactly are we looking for? Sarah asked as we sat across from each other in a quiet corner of a downtown cafe. Any interactions she has, especially with men. Any meetings, online activities, that sort of thing. I need to know if there's anyone else, I explained, my jaw set. Sarah nodded, making notes on her pad. We can start with a digital footprint analysis and go from there. You'll get daily updates. Perfect, I said, feeling a twinge of relief amid the storm of my emotions. The first report came 2 days later. Lisa had been active online, much more than she had let on. Messages, late-night calls, and worse, meetups with someone she frequently chatted with late into the night. The name that kept popping up was one I recognized, David, an old friend of hers from college. The revelation hit like a physical blow. David had been to our home, shared meals with us. The betrayal, already sharp, deepened, carving out new hollows of anger and disbelief within me. Armed with this information, I confronted Lisa again. This time at her sister's place. I didn't bother with pleasantries when she opened the door. So, it's David now? How long has that been going on? Lisa's face drained of color. James, please, it's not what you think. Don't lie to me, Lisa. I have proof. Calls, messages, meetings at all hours. How long? I demanded, each word sharp as a knife. It's complicated. We were just friends, but... She faltered, her eyes darting away. But nothing. You made your choice. My voice was ice, my decision final. I'm filing for divorce. And I want everything out in the open. Your affair with David, everything. As I turned to leave, the gravity of our fractured vows and the looming battle pressed down on me. I was far from forgiveness, the path ahead tangled with legal battles and personal reckonings. But I was resolute, driven by a need for retribution. The full scope of Lisa's betrayal was still unfolding, and I was ready to face it head-on, no matter what shadows I'd find lurking beneath the surface. The air was thick with tension as I sat across from Lisa in the sterile environment of the lawyer's office. Papers lay scattered between us, each one a testament to the dissolution of our marriage. My heart was hardened, my resolve unyielding, as I prepared to expose the full extent of her betrayal. You know, James, we could have handled this differently, Lisa said, her voice low, almost a whisper. Her eyes didn't meet mine, they couldn't. Differently? After everything? I scoffed, the sound harsh in the quiet room. You thought you could play me for a fool and I'd just roll over? Not a chance. The lawyer cleared his throat, a polite but pointed reminder of his presence. If we could proceed with the division of assets. Proceed? I cut in, my voice sharp. We're not proceeding with anything until everything's out on the table. Including her affair with David. Lisa flinched, her mask of composure slipping. James, please. No, I interrupted, slamming my hand down on the table. You don't get to ask for privacy or respect, not anymore. I turned to the lawyer, my gaze steely. I want full disclosure of her activities to be part of the divorce proceedings. Let everyone see the kind of person she truly is. The lawyer nodded, his expression unreadable. Very well, I'll include the request for the disclosure of the extramarital activities in the proceedings. As we walked out of the office, Lisa's step faltered. I felt no sympathy, only a cold satisfaction. But my thirst for retribution wasn't yet quenched. The final act would ensure she understood the full extent of my wrath. Over the next weeks, I orchestrated a series of revelations, leaking details of Lisa's affairs to our friends and family through anonymous tips and social media bursts. Her reputation crumbled, the social circle that once embraced her now cast her out. But the true twist of the knife came when I revealed to David's wife the affair, using the evidence I had gathered. His life, too, began to unravel as his marriage imploded under the weight of his deceit. The day Lisa confronted me for the last time, her eyes were hollow, her voice a shell of its former self. James, why? Why destroy everything? Because you destroyed us with your lies and betrayal, I said, my voice cold and unyielding. I wanted you to feel a fraction of the pain you caused. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I never meant for any of this. I thought I was missing something, that I could find it without hurting anyone. But you did hurt someone. You hurt me. My reply was devoid of empathy. I hope you find what you're looking for, Lisa. But you won't find it here. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving her standing alone, a figure diminished by her choices. The deceit had been unearthed, the vengeance exacted, and the bonds irrevocably shattered. As I moved on with my life, the harsh lessons of betrayal and retribution etched deeply into my soul. I knew some scars would never fully heal. But I also knew that I had emerged from the deception stronger, more guarded, and forever wary of the shadows within others. The finality of our parting was a grim closure, the end of a chapter written in lies and avenged with ruthless justice.